Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, so many of you have asked for me to do a lesson or teaching on soul families. And I talk about the soul, about the sun being SOL, in Latin is soul, and we're the soul, SOUL, that we are actually born from the sun and we return to the sun. And some of you asked me for clarification. So that's what we're going to talk to about today. And so there'll be no cards. I'm just going to show you on the, I'm just going to try and illustrate what I'm trying to convey. All right. So first of all, my first premise is this has nothing to do with race or racism or any kind of culturalism or anything like that. This is just a basic fact of science, all right? I also want to remind everybody watching right now has been male, female, black, white, Asian, Indian, Polynesian. We've experienced them all because that's what we're meant to experience. So that's what I mean when I go into evolution of humans, of mankind. I don't want it to sound like anything. Please take your racism glasses off, or misogynist glasses, or whatever. Just take the information at face value without reading into it anything that is not there. Thank you in advance for that. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So we are souls that come from the sun. We are birthed from the sun. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what's above the sun? And so there's the oversoul. Okay, so, and this is all according to my knowledge, all right? My studies, my knowledge, I'm not like some people like Jason who can just rattle off references, or I can't do that. I just don't have the brain capacity for that. But I do have a great brain capacity for remembering things. So we come from the oversoul. So through what we call the sun, our oversoul sends us out onto Earth. Let's say this is Earth and continents and whatnot. And down we come from the sun to experience things on Earth. Then when we die on Earth, we leave our bodies here, we leave the physical, and we return to the sun and back to the oversoul. Now, what do we do when we go back to the oversoul here? Well, this is where we review our lives, where we gather again, where we decide if we're going to go back. And that's another thing I want to point out. It's always your choice to come back. But yet, many people do decide to come back. Not very many people decide not to come back because Earth is such a special place that right now you think it's terrible, but when you get back up, and you're in the oversoul area. Some people call this heaven. This would be what you consider heaven. This is how they talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's because you're going through the sun again. All right. And it's interesting, when you're birthed, you come out of darkness into light. So it's kind of a cool system they got there. So you go up to heaven, but there's things that you miss about Earth. What are some of the things that are on Earth that you would consider to come back for? One of them is love. Did you know love is an Earth emotion? Physical, to be physical. You know, as much as we're on Earth and all we want to do is float and fly, and but when you're just a energy soul, you actually miss the physical part, and especially the sexual pleasure or the pleasurable things of like eating and doing anything physical like that. You miss, and so you might want to come down and experience that. It's almost as if it's like a amusement park. You want to come down and have all the things and have all the fun, but the thing is that there's prices for this. Some people there aren't. Some people, they come down, they have a very charmed life. They love who they want to love. They, have a very physical, they have lots of money to do whatever they want, and they head back up. And other people come down and it's just one struggle and heartbreak after another. And we'll get to the reasons why of that right away. So that's the basic, the soul and where you go. The oversoul wants to experience different things. And the oversoul is, some people call him God, the universe, whatever rocks your boat, whatever you want to call the oversoul. I call it sometimes the universe, sometimes God. It depends on what the situation is, but it's basically what we call heaven. All right, no punishments up there, nothing, no judgments, no punishments, just recognition of other souls that are in your soul family who are perhaps waiting for you. All right. So that's just the basis without getting too complicated. So the next thing is who do we come down with when the oversoul is sending all these people through the sun onto earth? He doesn't send them down one at a time to straggle along and be lonely. He actually sends big soul families. And I want you to think of your soul family as a big cloud in the sky. And then there's another big cloud of soul families. So think of these as wave after wave of soul families. Okay, so wave after wave he sends out. All right, and who's in these soul families? I want you to think of these soul families as a whole grade of school, right from kindergarten to grade 12 or senior year or whatever you have. So we have some part of our soul family is quite young, and some part of our soul family is been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And the majority, think of a bell curve, the majority of us are here in the middle. Now, how do you get from here to here? Well, every time you come down, you go up a grade. You go up a grade, 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 up a grade. Now, the oversoul or God doesn't fill this space up. Just eventually, everybody's over here. And now this soul family is now complete. And that's how I explained, like the Neanderthals or like peoples who disappear off the face of the earth. It's because their soul families are complete. So off they go, back up to the oversoul. This group is all done. Everybody's graduated up here. And they all go back to the oversoul and off they go, I don't know, to Venus, Mars, another solar system. I'm not exactly sure. Some say Venus is our next octave that we do. All right. So the next question is, well, how long does that take? Generally takes about 1,000 years. A particular soul family will be on Earth. You do 144 years approximately, and that's 12 times 12. You'll find the number 12 very prevalent with soul families. And that's because you do the zodiac 12 times. All right. So you have to go through the whole zodiac 12 times. Now so the average time between incarnations is about 144 years, 12 times 12. But sometimes if it was a unplanned death, you might come back right away, right up to the next level. Sometimes you go back. It's just like school. You fail your grade, you actually go back. So that's why it's generally about 1,000 years a soul family will be on Earth. And one of the big examples I like to give is the current royal family. Now, I think like they've been around for about 1,000 years and they're starting to wear out their welcome, right? Royal families are collapsing all over Europe, including the British royal family. And it's because they are mostly all up here already, because they've been around for about 1,000 years. All right, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to these groups of soul families. So here's your soul family. Think of it as a big cloud. Wave after wave comes these soul families. I don't know, is there 144,000 in them? Is that where that number comes from, the Bible? Is there a million of them? Is there 10 million? I don't know. I'm quite unsure. What happens though with these soul families, just like evolution, these soul families evolve. So the original soul families that came down, these would be your tribes. These are your bushmen, your tribal people, your people who come down and just try and survive as a human being. 1,000 years later, they learn all their lessons and they jump up to the next group. Maybe the next group now has tools. And because they've learned all these lessons, everybody here is grade 12, graduated, took them about 1,000 years. And now they have tools, or they've learned, like we talk about our Bronze Age, our Iron Age, our Bronze Age, our, as a Copper Age. Well, they have tools. They learn other survival skills. They build houses. They build permanent houses. They don't have, teepees anymore, or tents, or sleeping under the bush or some such thing. So they've evolved. Now this group, everybody's done, everyone's here graduated, took about 1,000 years. And you think about it, a lot of these ages last about 1,000 years. They jump to the next one. Oh, and guess what? Now they have weapons. Now they have, 2-story houses. Now they have mechanical tools. So this is what happens when these soul families come out. All right. So you just naturally evolve. You don't jump onto Earth knowing everything. Your soul family has to learn these lessons, and you learn it as a soul family. So that's why on Earth right now, we still have tribes that are quite primitive, that have no idea what's going on in the modern family. We just had one in the news lately. A tourist tried to give them a can of Coke or some such thing. Apparently he's going to be put in jail for that. So we still have quite primitive tribes on Earth. We have people who still live in huts and in a nomadic lifestyle. We still have people who look at the Hutterites. They refuse any kind of electricity or mechanical things. We have that all over the earth. So if we are all one, how come all of us haven't elevated at the same time? It's because we come down in waves to learn. And again, that's where I didn't want people to think this is racist at all, because we've all been the caveman, the tribesman. We've all been the nomad. We've all been the Luddite, right? We just happen to be in our particular soul family right now. This is where we are. We are basically, when it comes to humans, at the top of the food chain. And like I mentioned, the royals have been around for about 1,000 years, and they're just about all here, and we've all just about had enough of them. They just, you think about the last 120 years, we've been kicking them off one by one. So that's about 144 years. Soon there'll be no royals on Earth. And this soul family will move on to whatever the next thing is. Maybe they're below the technology people. Maybe this is their last spin on Earth, and they're off to wherever the oversoul wants to put them next. Maybe this is the pinnacle, to be the leader of people, to be the royalty, to, maybe that's the end game. King of the castle. That's the end game. That's where, you've done it. You've done everything on Earth. Now it's time to move on. And we have to remember, royalty isn't just European. There's Thai royalty, there's Japanese royalty, there's African royalty. So, it depends on where their soul tribe is, what they mean by this royalty. Also, some political societies create their politicians as royalty. United States, for example, any kind of presidential coronation or anything is just as elegant and done up as any kind of king. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now with that one. So that's the overall of soul families. Like I said, I don't know, maybe some soul families only have 100,000, some soul families maybe have 100 million of them. Here's the problem. Here's what's going on in Earth right now. Somebody has taken all these different soul families at different levels of evolution, no judgment, it's just what happens. And they've mixed them all up. And guess what happens? The ones that are up here have to revert here to help these ones. They think they're doing them favors by making them come up to their level. And they aren't at all. It's like taking a caterpillar and opening up the chrysalis so that it can fly faster. You actually damage that person. So by mixing up all these soul families, remember, I'm not saying race, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying it's your soul family. Some soul families come down to live mostly in the Middle East and experience Islam. And they get pulled into the European lifestyle, and they're not quite ready. They still have that nomadic mind. They still haven't reached up here. Some have. So they come up and they're very well adapted. So this would be like taking the caterpillar and you see it kind of breaking open, so you help it a little bit, but it's still ready to go. So perhaps they make the jump, no problem. What about these ones down here? They haven't experienced any of that. They come into our soul family and we call them savages, and they do all kinds of criminal activity that we're aghast at because we've already learned that lesson. We've already done this level of soul people. So we were there at one time, but we have learned that lesson and we are aghast and we're just like, what is wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with them. It's our fault for putting them into our soul culture, I guess you could call it, when they aren't ready. And we think, oh, if we just put them here, we can train them to be like us. Well, that's where the racism is. Think about that. Oh, we know you're less than, but if you just come with us, we'll fix you. Think about what you're saying to those people. You're already saying you're better than them. So this is what's happening in the world. This is the globalism that's happening. And all these different soul families are jumping and jumping and jumping all around. And it's created a big mess. Now there's no evolution. There's just people being forced and put into positions that they are not either at that level for, or they've done that level and they just don't know how to cope with doing it again. Right? So when you take a bunch of people who are at a different soul level, and again, I want to emphasize, there's nothing wrong where you are with your soul level. Everything is in perfect order. Nothing has gone wrong. Now, if you're in my teaching tarot, you've learned the lesson last week about the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, and then the human kingdom. All right, so mineral into vegetable. So this is earth, Vegetable is water. Animal is fire. And human is air. So animals move. Fire has passion and it moves. So vegetables don't move. Animals move. But animals don't have not the instincts, the intuition and thinking and whatnot, language and whatnot that humans have. Yes, I know animals have language. I'm said like humans have. All right. So you can never go backwards. The evolution is this way. Mineral turns into lichen, which turns into vegetable. Vegetable, which is your mushroom and your fungus, then turns into animal. Animal, which is your upper end mammals, then turn into humans. All right? You cannot go backwards like that. Never. That's against natural laws. But what happened to humans is that they are then divided into soul families for evolution. Evolution is natural. It's a natural law. What's beyond human? I don't know. Is that where we're going to get the AI, robot, transhuman? I'm not sure. I hope not. But so these soul families are doing their evolution just like natural law. So when you take a soul family that's at level 1 and you put them into a level 4, you get chaos. Or even a level 3, you get chaos. Or you take a level 2 and put it into a level 4 because they've skipped a whole level here. It's not natural. All right? And I want to reiterate that we've all been through it. We've all gone through it this way. We've all done the soul families. If you're watching this right now, you are at the top level of soul families. Nothing wrong with that, just like there's nothing wrong with the tribesmen that live on the islands in the Indian Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or the Amazon. Nothing wrong whatsoever. They're brand new souls on Earth trying to make it here on Earth with their facilities that they have. Next time they come, perhaps they'll be in an African tribe where there's a little bit more ingenuity. Like right now we're living just one step up. We're living in huts now. We're living in homes. We're more stable. We aren't nomadic. We're building villages. We're right. And then perhaps then they come back, that soul family's done and they come back and they're in a next society that now they have, more tools and more what we call modern conveniences. And that's okay. Like we have to stop thinking, oh, these poor people, we need to save them. No, we don't. And, and it goes the other way too. Let's get back here. It goes the other way too. Let's say we have a level 4 soul family, the Europeans, and they go down to, let's say a level 1 family, primitive, living, off the land, nomadic, and they try and change them and bring them up. Well, you've done no favors. And look at those countries that's happened to. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos. They weren't ready for it. But yet they thought, well, we're doing them a favor. And it turned out terrible. Absolutely terrible. You gave weapons to people who weren't ready for that level. You gave medicines to people who weren't ready for that level. So it works both ways. It's wrong. Mixing the soul families is wrong. All right. It's not natural. And then it creates chaos for everyone, not just for one or for all concerned. It creates chaos. You think of where are safe places right now, believe it or not, China, Japan. Why? Well, because they've maintained their soul families. Actually, I just read an article. Someone was in North Korea and They said, as long as you follow their rules. And you know what? Same thing with Middle East. You go to the Middle East and you follow their rules and you're perfectly fine. It's when you don't follow their rules they get angry. And why? Because this is their soul family and they're not allowing other people to mix in with it. If you go to the Middle East, and my husband worked with in that area for many years, if there is, let's say, they bring in other people to do their work. So they bring in a lot of Bangladesh, Filipinos. Do you know what though? They are just here. They get put into a container almost. They get their passports taken away and they are not allowed to mingle in here whatsoever. And same thing in China. If you try and build a mosque in China, they'll knock it down. So, they're well aware of what their soul families are. Again, no judgment what their soul families are. I'm not judging their political, or they all have to go through this and live through this. Well, look at that. The clock agrees with me. And you see, these people are trying to live their best life. Where the problems happen is when they try and jump into other soul families. China's discovering that right now. Right now, they're in Africa a lot, and they're getting a lot of kickback on that. Middle East is trying to be like a number 4, and they're building, Dubai, and they're building all these things, and it's going to collapse one day because they aren't ready for it. It's not going to be maintained. Whereas you look at some of the big churches and whatnot that are in Europe, they're 1,000 years old and they're still around. That's not going to happen in Dubai. Dubai is going to have a big, big collapse because they are trying to force their soul family into a higher realm than they are. All right, so that's enough about the soul families of the earth. And they come and go. And like I said, once a soul family is done, once they're all graduating grade 12, that soul family then leaves the earth and to go on and experience something else. So what happens within this soul family? All right, so now we know soul families. If you're watching this, you're probably in an upper echelon soul family. You've probably done this many, many, many times. Moving along as a soul family, gathering information, having memories, instincts when you come back. That's how animals evolve too. Every generation of animals is smarter than the previous one. They have muscle memory, they have cell memory, and therefore they evolve and they evolve and they evolve. So when we are in our own soul family here. All right. And again, we've done them all. So there's no need to judge any other soul family whatsoever. So here we are in our soul family. And again, like I said, here's the newbies, grade 1. Here's the grade 12. They're ready to graduate. Now, these grade 12s, they actually started out at grade 1. Everybody starts out at grade 1, right? Here come, poof, we all come down together. But some are just like in school. Some are faster. Some move up, boom, 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 boom. Before you know it, they're at the top, all right? And some take their time. Some maybe do grade 1 2, 3 times before they figure it out. And it's just like anything. You come down to earth and, oh, that was bad. Well, try it again. So you still have to pass on to the next level. And before you come down, you're in agreement what that level is and what you need to accomplish. If you don't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, you come back. And I just want to reiterate, it's always your choice. You can say, screw that, I'm done with earth. Other people are like, that was amazing. That was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I didn't learn to play the piano last time, but I really want to learn how to play it next time. Or, I was so close to inventing fire. I know I can do it next time, right? So you want to come down and try again. Perhaps it really loved being in love. And remember, like I said, earth is where you experience love. Okay, so you come down and you try and so you do, it's about 144 years, 12 times 12, and then all the way up to grade 12, which is about 1,440 years. And you're like, oh, I thought you said it was 1,000 years. Well, yeah, because it's about different situations occur. Perhaps you want to go back down earlier. Perhaps you want to wait. Perhaps you skip a grade, right? It's you don't wear a watch up there. Let's put it that way. Time is an earth thing. It's time doesn't exist anywhere else. So that's why it's about. And so generally, this whole group is here about 1,000 years, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, learning lessons. Now, you come down to evolve and you move up, and you, of course, you come down. There's actually should be two of you. You always come down. Everything is dual, right? Male, female. You always come down. There's two of you, and that's what is called your soul mate. All right, but your soul mate doesn't have to be your lover. Your soul mate could be your parent, could be your friend, could be your sibling. You're here to hold a mirror up and learn both sides of the story. All right. Sometimes your soulmate is your lover and you have a fantastic life and you enjoy this earthbound time with each other. Absolutely. But not all the time. There's no such thing as twin flames. Please quit asking me about twin flames. But you do have a soulmate. And you'll see some of the tarot cards have two babies on them. And that's because you come down with two. And you look forward to seeing your soulmate back up when you're with the oversoul area. You don't always come down exactly at the same time. You don't always go back up exactly at the same time. But you kind of have like a mirror for each other. And again, that's not even written in stone. That can be a choice. Maybe one soulmate wants to stay up, and so you come down. And I think this is where, now this is just my opinion, but I've meditated on it. And I think this is where we get our transgender, and we may even get some of the people who are homosexuals or lesbians. So they come down and they're holding both masculine and feminine inside of them, rather than the masculine and feminine. So think yin and yang, they fit together, right? But if your other soulmate doesn't come down, you have to carry both of them. So to express that, perhaps you're in a female body, but yet you have male urges for another female. Or, the people who come down and say, I was born into the wrong body. I think that's where that comes from. And that's just my personal opinion. But you know what? It kind of fits. It explains why sometimes that happens. Okay. So, or also it could be both of you and your soulmate decide to come down and express as the same gender, and then you still become a couple. That could also be. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so here you are, moving up the football field almost until you graduate. Now, we got a couple of questions here. What if you keep failing? What if you do something absolutely horrific, like murder babies or destroy people somehow? Well, what happens is if you are not moving, evolving with your soul family, you can get kicked out. and say, you know what, you're not ready for this evolution. You're going to go learn your lesson in the previous. Now, I know I said you can't go backwards, which you can't, but you can fail a grade, right? So you wouldn't stay there forever, but you're going to go back to learn that lesson. You're still with this soul family, but now you've been voted off the island. So now you have to go back one, and boy, do you have to grovel, and boy, do you have to work hard to garner favor to come back to your soul family. And you think, well, why would you do that? And it's because you miss them. This is your soul family. So if you have, or you are, the black sheep in the family, or let's say you have an uncle, or you have a friend, they've never got married, they've never had children, they just work, mind their own business, kind of quiet. That's possibly somebody who's been kicked off the island, who's been kicked out of the soul family and are groveling to get back in. And so sometimes all you have to do is just not do anything evil. And you don't want to, meet up with somebody and have children down there and then have a hook. Generally, when you go down, you're not down there to fall in love, and you're there to work. Or that might be you. Maybe you feel like, I'm in the wrong country. I don't belong here. I don't like any of these people. I don't like the food. And you just feel displaced. That's because you are. So my best advice is just to be a good person. That's all it is. You don't have to be a saint. You just have to create no more bad karma for yourself. So let's say you work hard and you hate it in that, and the reason you hate it, you don't hate the people. Because you've done that already. Like, can you imagine? You scrub your bathroom absolutely clean. Somebody comes in and pees all over it. Like, oh God, I just cleaned that bathroom. Well, now, not only do you have to clean it again, now you've cleaned with a toothbrush. And it's very tedious. You don't like it. But something in you tells you have to persevere, just nose to the grindstone, just be yourself, don't get involved, and you'll be back with your soul family next time. Okay, so that's what happens if you aren't properly graduating. Now, how do you graduate? Well, you come down, you have babies, you make a good life, you help other people. That's a big thing in your soul evolution. You help your soul family, or you call it your soul culture, evolve for the better. Especially like the people who really jump forward are your inventors, especially if they invent something that's fantastic for society. Or perhaps they were a fabulous politician who is above board, or a good king that really made sure everybody had food in their stomach every night, or some such thing. Or like invented the telephone, which is, a great advancement for society. You can call a doctor when you're sick, or call 911 for an ambulance or whatnot. You would evolve a lot faster and end up at this number 12 here, ready to move on to the next level. Now, what if you're up here and these people are still down here and you just have to wait? Well, you come down to Earth to have a fun time. This is your bachelor that has, he's wildly successful, travels, not a worry in the world, doesn't have anything tying him down, big smile, everybody loves him. He comes down just to have fun. And, we can think of some of our, I'm trying to think who would be like that off the top of my head. But they're good people. They're good, they're fun. They don't hurt other people. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anybody right now. I'm sure somebody's down there typing, what about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? So they come down once in a while, have a great time on Earth, maybe bring another invention, enjoy it, and off they go. Like, I think that's what happened to Nikola Tesla. I think, his previous incarnations, he raced to the top here because he never got married, he never had children, and I know he died a pauper, but you don't necessarily come down to be rich. And I think that's what happened to him. He came down, he's just like, well, I'm just giving him a couple more inventions or some such thing. So that's where what you do. You just come back and forth and have some fun, and perhaps you get married, but these people never have children because they don't want to spawn the next soul family. All right. Some of the things, if you don't want to come back down to Earth, you can't have any DNA down here. So, for example, if you have no children, and then you have the option of never coming back down. But as long as you have DNA here, you're going to want to come back down because you're going to want to see how they're doing. You're going to want to somehow be involved in that family because that helps your evolution. But if you have no DNA and you say, yeah, I'm kind of done Earth, then you have no obligation to come back down. And you're not judged for it whatsoever. I get that question all the time. Oh, I'm never coming back. Well, as long as you have no DNA, so as long as you have no children or your children have no children, so you have no grandchildren, then you are free to go on to the next big adventure, no matter where you are in here. And just like school, just like high school, you can drop out at any time you want. You are never obligated. It is always your choice. Always your choice. But as long as you have no DNA, you have no children or grandchildren here, then you have no obligation to come down. As long as you have children here, you have DNA here, then you don't have to, but you will want to. Like, people think, oh, I'll never come back. Well, you don't know that till you know what's on the other side. Okay, so that I've kind of explained how the evolution of humanity is going. Where the next number 5 is, I don't know. Is it transhumanism? Is it AI? Maybe that's what happened to Atlantis, and they just blew up Atlantis, started all over again, right? But things like, we will never see the ancient Egyptians again, though that whole family's gone. We'll never see the ancient Greeks again. That whole family's gone. Even the ancient Romans, gone, right? They've moved on to something. Even if the majority of them have some DNA here, the next soul family coming in their place will kind of take over for them. Oh, how come there it is. So it's not like everybody up here has to have no DNA. I'm just talking about if it's your choice not to come down. And so the thing is with, you do leave your children here, your grandchildren, the next generation or generations, you notice they'll be a little bit different because the next soul family that's coming in is creating a new generation. So everybody talks about generational things. It's because it's these waves of soul families coming and going, right? So, we have the silent generation, we have the greatest, we have the boomers, we have Gen X, we have millennials, now we have Gen Z or Z. So what happens is each of these are their own waves of soul families, of souls, but within our big collective soul society, right? I don't think there's any boomers in the African tribes, for example, right? I don't think there's any boomers in China, for example. So you can almost say these are almost like the grades, but not really. It's that this group here, the 12s, decide not to come down, so the next generation kind of looks after them. And that's also why everybody says it's nutrition or it's this or it's that. The next generation tends to be taller. Next generation tends to be stronger. Oh, this generation is actually weaker. They're actually smaller. It's because it's these waves within the society of people coming down, and whatever their genetic makeup is within the overall soul. So that's where the generations come. In some respects, it is like the grades, but not really, because you think Gen Z or Gen Z or millennials, I don't think anybody would consider them as graduates of life, of being here 1,000 years. So it's people like taking over people who decide not to come down for whatever reason. Like, you think about all the people that decided not to come down, who lost all their DNA in the wars, right? They lost all their sons, so they have no DNA. Or perhaps they were married and, their husband was killed and they never had children, never got remarried again. So you think about all those people. Did they come back down to become millennials this time, right? We don't know. We don't know. So that's how generations happen within the society. Like I said, I don't think there's boomers in China. I don't think there's boomers in Africa. I think this is part of our cultural cloud of people. Now, I want to get back to that. And I also want to show within our society, we have all races. We do have, because we're here to experience everything. We have Indians in our soul family. We have Black people in our soul family. We have Native Americans in our soul family. And it's so because we want to experience everything. And so that's where I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with race at all. Right? We have kings from Thailand up here. We have chiefs and kings from Africa up here in the 12. Sure, we also have all the European ones, but it has nothing to do with race whatsoever. It's it's how you evolve as a culture. And you think about what defines our soul family culture. Well, laws, living with laws, keeping your communities clean, keeping your community safe. Like, we have all these different values that keep us as a society. And it doesn't matter what your race is, as long as you're evolving in that with that soul family. All right. One of the things I'd like to bring up is what happens. You got two soul families, and somebody's kicked off the island, and they go back and they do marry somebody in their other soul family. Generally, it's a disaster because you're not on the same plane whatsoever. Or the person going back is frustrated. Maybe they've been kicked out because they are violent. Maybe they marry somebody who is violent, who hasn't learned, their lesson. So that's sometimes when I see, Mary from the UK married, Bob from Zambia, and then something goes terribly wrong. It's not that either one of them are bad people. It's not meant to be. That person going back is there to learn their lesson, not to, have luxuries and get married and have children. And it's against natural law to do that. They're there to redeem themselves. So sometimes when you see that, be careful not to quickly judge, because that's what's going on. It's somebody who's gone back and decided they wanted, instead of working on themselves, they're supposed to stay by themselves and work on themselves. They decide to marry or interact with somebody on a different plane, and it never works out. One of them gets taken out, and it's usually the person who's gone back. All right. So that's, you have to be careful. When I see that, I'm just like, oh, that was somebody who was supposed to learn a lesson and they didn't. So what does cause somebody to become a criminal or a serial killer or whatnot? And you think, aren't they down here to experience that? Do they have karma? Maybe somebody killed them and they're here to even the score. No, it's something has gone terribly wrong. God is not violent at all, in any way, shape, or form. So when something like that has happened, that's generally an entity has gotten a hold of them. Archon, or they are an archon, they're an interloper in the soul family, and they're here to take out as many as they can. But generally, that's not part of your soul family at all when it's a severe criminal like that. When something does happen, sadly, suicide, murder, or something within a family, sometimes that can be lessons or experiences. A lot of people ask me about suicide, and sometimes you come down to experience that. Sometimes you do. You come down to experience that, and or perhaps there's a couple of you have come down, and it's now their turn to experience what it's like when a loved one does that. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes you can set yourself up for, not great fun next life. But for the most part, it's because you want to experience. If it's successful, if it's not successful, then that's just another difficulty that you're having. But if it's successful, sometimes it is just simply you wanted to experience that. Okay, so that's sometimes what happens when that happens, and you experience it and you move on to the next level. What happens when you do experience a suicide? Well, according to Rosicrucian teachings, let's say you're 18 and it wasn't in your life contract to do that, but you decide to do it anyways. But your life contract is you weren't supposed to die until you're 42. You actually remain earthbound until you're supposed to continue on. Some people don't want to hear that. Other people, it's actually comforting to them to know their loved one is still around. But that's what happens. So if and we've had suicide in our family. She was 36. So let's say she wasn't supposed to pass away until she was 82. Well, she's got a long earthbound time here before she can move on. Now, if it's in your contract, though, and you don't know if it's in your contract or not until you get there, until it happens. All right, so let's talk about that. Like, how do you get back up into soul? So here's the sun, here's soul, here's over soul or heaven, whatever you want to call it. Here's earth. So you come back down, and if you notice I draw a line here, you have a silver cord that keeps you down here. So the silver cord ensures that you always return to the sun, so you can get to the other side of the sun, right? Just like, have you seen those movies where the astronaut loses the rope and they just float away? No, you get this silver cord, and the silver cord keeps you connected to the sun and to earth. The silver cord actually goes deep into the earth to keep you there. The only way you can die is if this silver cord breaks. Once it snaps, you snap back to the sun. And then get to the other side of the sun that way. But yeah, it has to break here, and it grabs your soul. So think of you're in a bungee cord, basically. So here's your soul, and it's on this silver cord, and it snaps. Snap. Off you go, and it breaks the earth bound here. And that's the only way you can die. So people who say they have NDEs, they don't, because if you die, you die. You aren't coming back until you're a baby. What happens is you're having a lot of memories and a lot of things, what you think, or maybe memories of what heaven looks like, or you're having memories of past loved ones, or perhaps you are getting some psychic downloads, but you didn't die. You didn't die. As long as you're still on earth, you did not die. Your cord has to snap, and like a bungee cord. Actually, it snaps here, your connection to earth. I drew that wrong. And it just like a big elastic, you go back, just grabs you back to earth. That's the light everybody talks about. I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. When you do die, you will go back to that. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about next is how do you pick your parents? So, well, there's a couple of different things. Are they in your soul family? Is there some DNA there? You know, that you want to come back into the same family. And the same families generally come back because you all want to move up that grade together. You all help each other move into the next grade. And anybody in that grade can be anywhere from newborn to 100 years old. But you're all learning the same thing, right? You're all of this kind of, whether you're here to, oh, look at that, the clock agrees. You know, whether you're here to learn about whatever, vehicles, weapons, food, whatever, you're all here to learn to move up to the next grade. So that's anywhere from newborn to 100 years old. So generally, you pick the same family, your earth family, generally. But you can pick any family you want, but generally you want to be with the same family so that you all kind of evolve at the same time. And so what happens is you do not enter the body until you're out of the mother's body. You are not here. You've chosen that person, and this is a viable baby and a viable child, and this child knows you're going to enter, but you do not enter until that first breath. And once you enter, that's when the silver cord connects. And the reason why a lot of the ancients taught that is it would be too horrific to remember what it's like to be in gestation. It'd be very claustrophobic. It could even be somewhat painful. It would be like two souls in one body, which is psychotic. So you cannot enter until that first breath. So that first breath, and that's the vital life source. That first breath, that's why that first breath is so important. Your silver cord gets locked in there and your soul enters. And your soul enters. And then you're disconnected from the mother. The umbilical cord is cut. Now, some people say, oh, I remember hearing my mom's heartbeat. Well, sure you do. That's cellular memory. Right? Or I remember, no, actually you don't. That's, your brain kind of remembering. Because remember, you got your physical, and you got your conscious, you got your subconscious. And your subconscious runs your heartbeat, your breathing, all your brain functions, all that kind of stuff without you even thinking about it. So it's your subconscious remembering that. It's not your soul. You don't enter the body until you know which body you're going to enter. You get ready for it, and you in that first breath, and instantly you have now entered that physical body, and your silver cord is connected. All right, but yeah, generally you come down to the same family. Now, if you are with a family, mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, cousins, and you actually hate this family, you don't feel it, you maybe don't hate them, but it's like you are the black sheep, like you do not fit. Well, you have to ask yourself, why don't you? Is it something here to experience? Is it, have you been sent back? Like, right? Do they feel like Luddites? Like, wow, nobody in my family even watches Netflix, or, you know, maybe you're thrown back into an Amish family. And you're like, what the hell? Last time I remember, we all had cell phones, and these guys don't even have electricity. Well, put your nose down and get to work. You're there to get back into your soul family. You've been kicked off the island for some reason. You're not learning your lessons. You're not evolving. You're hurting people. Well, you can step back, go back there, work things out. Don't get married. Don't create any DNA, and you'll be back with your soul family much happier. And so, and also that brings some kind of, like, we have a couple of black sheeps in our family, and that kind of brought me, one of the reasons why I searched this was, like, what is wrong with, like, how can they be so different? How can they be absolutely so different? And that's what sent me on this journey 40 years ago, 40 years ago. And it's, number one, they might just be in your soul family. They're in a different grade, right? They want to test something out, or they want to experience something, or maybe, you want to experience being the black sheep, or some such thing. That's a good example. But it also could be somebody who, it's not just that they want to experience it, they've been sent back. And once I discovered that, and I really looked at them from a different point of view, I could understand them more. Doesn't mean I agreed with some of the things that they did, but it brought me a little bit of softness around them. I wasn't so harsh and judgmental. I actually felt a little bit sorry for them after. So that's, so sometimes understanding this will help you understand what's going on. Now, here's a big question I want to end this with. So we have all these different soul families coming wave after wave after wave, right? Wave after wave, and they're all at different evolutions. Here's my question. Who's doing this? Who's mixing them all up? And why? It was a good system. It was a great system. Who started this and why? Is it somebody who's jealous of the people who are at the top level and they want to bring them back down? Is there somebody who's, are we in a simulation that they want to see what happens when they mix everything up, different evolutions up? I just don't get it. I don't understand who's doing this. Is this an alien? Probably not. Is this one group of people that are maybe perhaps they're in second place here and they're jealous of the ones up front, so they're trying to mix them all up to bring them back down? So these ones, like, is this a big game? So this one's in second place are now in first place. It's like, they came and they, what's that? Those two skaters, those two figure skaters in the 90s. I don't know. If any of you have any idea what's going on, why they've decided to ruin a perfectly good system, I don't know. And then my next question is, why is the oversoul not doing anything? And it's because once you pass through the sun and you're on Earth, you really can't do anything. You're kind of on your own because you're learning your lessons and bringing them back. So, that's what brings me comfort, is that, he really can't do anything about what happens here on Earth. That's not his domain. His or her, the oversoul, their domain is on the other side of the sun. where there is no violence, where there is no predator prey. Anyways, on that, let me know if you enjoyed these types of lessons. Was there something you got out of it? Did you learn something new? Or did you already know all of this? I never know how much to let you know or say or do, but let me know, because if you do enjoy these, I'll do more of them for you. I have got lots and lots of different lessons. I know everybody's clamoring about the auto writing. I'm working on that for a course to help you learn that. Once that's ready to go, I'll let you know. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. YouTube's going to show you a video you possibly haven't seen. Why don't you click on that and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Take good care. Bye for now.